Okay, Sue, I think we're live. Are we live?
Oh,
Are we live? Oh
exciting.
my God.
Hello, everybody.
No, good evening. I'm saying good morning because normally, Sue, we have you here in the morning times
You
into
do,
our
yes.
Bloom rooms. So you are very welcome to the main K's Facebook page.
It's a pleasure to be here. It really is.
And you know, Sue, I'm
fun.
never live on the K's Facebook page either. So this is a new one for both of us. Everyone is seeing me for some of them probably for the first time because I'm always behind the camera.
Yeah.
So today I'm here live on the Facebook page. If you're watching, please say good evening, or if it's good morning, wherever you are, tell us where you're watching from, and say hello to Sue.
Yes,
and I know we're also
do.
going out on YouTube at the moment, but I will see your comments here. So if you comment from YouTube, I'll see your comments here as well. So hello.
Yeah, hi, hello everybody, and lovely to see you all.
So a little bit of background about Sue. I'm going to tell you all her secrets now. So we met Sue virtually during COVID, or probably before COVID, around that time anyway. We met Sue virtually, and we just built up a relationship through Instagram and Facebook, got to know her a little bit more, heard all about these books, which were actually books that we had used in the school years ago. But we didn't realize that this Sue was the same Sue that had written the books. Anyway, so since then, and we got to know Sue came into our Bloom rooms. So on our module courses, we have our private Bloom rooms, which are not open to the public. And Sue comes in and talks to all the students and answers all their questions about conditioning. Now, Sue, I hope you have the books handy because I'm at home this evening. I'm in my bedroom. Well done, because I don't have the books to show them. So these
take them everywhere with me.
The three books: the cut flower book, the houseplant book, and the foliage book.
Yeah.
As Jeanette always says, the houseplant is probably not the most important, depending on what you're going to do. But the cut flower book is your Bible, as is the foliage book. Oh, well, okay. So hang on, I'm just going to go to a couple of the questions here, a couple of comments here. You two of my favorite ladies. Oh, thanks, Facebook users. So if you're watching on Facebook, and you see above here, you'll see a blue link, and it's saying allow StreamYard to access your name, and that's only so we can see your name when you comment, and we'd be delighted to see you. We see Jackie saying good evening. Maria is watching in. Maria is watching in from Northampton. Celine is on. Woohoo! Our virtual assistant, Celine, is on from who will post anything in the comments and stuff like that. I will be looking for your help, Celine. I don't know if Jeanette is watching in. She is out of the country at the moment, working from out of the country, and it's feckin' freezing where she's working. So I'm delighted. Absolutely,
it's not very warm here either.
But it's not sunny. So, but she said she doesn't mind working as much when it's not sunny and it's cold. But Chris is watching in as well. So Kathy's watching in from the USA. So good evening, everybody, and you're all so welcome. If you have any questions for Sue, please put them in the comments. Because we are going to answer as many questions that we can here tonight. I have questions here ready to go. And I've had, because people have been posting questions underneath the notification to say that we were going to be here tonight. So Sue, the big question, are you ready for it?
I am.
We know we have Valentine's Day coming up. And we know as florists, it's one of the busiest, not the busiest, but one of the busiest time within the flower calendar. And one of the questions that we would get asked publicly on the Facebook page around Valentine's Day, and their comments that go up in a lot of different groups, is why are florists charging so much for flowers on Valentine's Day? So why does like a dozen roses cost €80 on Valentine's Day? And if they went in, well, not 6 weeks ago, but last summer to buy them, they probably only cost €60. Why? And the question that we're being asked is, why are florists milking Valentine's Day? So can you, as your profession, and just actually before you answer that, I didn't actually introduce Sue, as in she's the author of the Cut Flower books. She's a journalist. She writes for the Floristry Trade magazine. She goes to Chelsea as a media person. Sue has a phenomenal amount of experience within the flower industry. And if anyone can answer this question, Sue can.
That's a good build-up. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm also for the whole of my floristry career, I was a high street florist. So I think I've done a total of 26 Valentines. in the shop, and every single year you get asked the same question. They say, why do you put the price up? And of course we don't inflate the prices of the roses. The roses go up at wholesale at the auctions, and we only put our normal markup on. But the problem with Valentine's Day is that it's Valentine's Day across the world, so the whole world wants one single product on one single day, and that's red roses. So that means that red rose growers have to ramp up production to an extraordinary level, because they need to produce 10 times, 20 times more roses than they would normally produce. So that takes more staffing, that takes more heating, it takes more lighting, it takes more wrapping, it takes more transport. All of these add up and add up and add up, and then you see the price of the roses go up. And when the flowers are sold at auction, you've heard about Dutch auctions. If you ever get the chance to go to Holland and to go to the Royal Flora Holland, which is where the auctions are held, they have a thing called a Dutch auction. And there's a big amphitheatre with a very large clock at the front. And it works that the top price for the flowers comes in first, and then the price gradually drops, and you, as a buyer, you have to hold your nerve to see how cheaply you can get your flowers for. But at Valentine's, if you're supplying shops as a wholesaler and you've got to provide them red Naomi roses, and you've got to provide altogether, say, 10,000 red Naomi roses, there's only a certain amount of roses available, and you cannot sit there and watch the clock go down and think, I'll wait till it gets really cheap. So you go in higher, and that's another reason why prices go up. So they're inflated by the demand, and then they also get inflated by the buyers who have to have the stock. You can't be a Dutch wholesaler and go to your florist and say, I'm really sorry I didn't get you any roses because I thought they were really expensive. It doesn't work like that. So I mean, I was looking at rose prices today, and I was looking at red Naomi roses, and I was looking at the 50 centimetre roses, and they were like 50 centimetre were 240, and 70 centimetres were £3.23 a stem, and that's before VAT, and that's what the florist is buying them at. Then they put the VAT on, and then you also then have to put your own markup on, else you're not making any money. So you could be looking at, as much as I was working it out, it's sort of like £7.70 a stem for a really good quality rose. But that's one of the reasons why we always try and promote other things at Valentine's Day as well, other than roses. But I think you can see, and another question that people also ask is, well, why is it then I can then go to Tesco's or Lidl and I can get a bunch of 12 red roses for like, £4.99 or something ridiculous? That's because those roses will be cheaper, they will be lesser quality, they will be smaller, and they were probably cut weeks ago, cut early, and then kept chilled to a certain temperature, not frozen, but just above freezing, which actually halts their development, which makes them cheaper because they're cutting them earlier. But it means when you get them home and you put them in a warm room, they just open and then they just die. So you really need, when they say you get what you pay for, it really does apply to red roses. If you go for the good quality red roses, but they are absolutely, I've never seen them this expensive. They are at a premium this year.
And I think as well, obviously, this Valentine's, in comparison to other Valentines, between the war in Ukraine, the gas prices, and we know also that a lot of florists, or a lot of growers, have stopped growing because they can't afford gas. And it's a bit like it's supply and demand, really. If there isn't enough of something, the price of it's going to go up.
Yeah, well, when I went on the wholesaler's website, I just put red roses in the search box, and very little came up. Very little. Lots of spray roses, lots of preserved roses or dried roses, but actual fresh roses. The choice was very, very limited. And
so for anyone watching here, Sue, right, that isn't a florist and that gives out about florists inflating prices for Valentine's Day or Mother's Day or any occasion like that, what would be your answer to them?
I would say that your high street florist who provides a wonderful service to the community. That's one of the things I love about floristry and being a florist on the high street is how you get involved with people's lives. They will do their best for you. And if you are like when you come to Mother's Day, I mean, Valentine's Day is awkward because it's just people just tend to want red roses. But when you get to Mother's Day, just don't get too specific. One of the things that does put a price up is when people get very specific, when they say, I want this colour and I want that particular flower. If you can talk to your high street florist and say, I would love something in soft pastel shades, then they will put the best combination together for you. So work with your florist.
Choice, that's the new word.
Yes. Work with your florist.
Let the florist choose.
Yeah.
And also, I think the public need to be aware that the florists are working their asses off this week. Like they would have started probably on Monday, prepping foliage, prepping stuff. Like Valentine's Day is not, they order the flowers and they get them and they come in and they're ready to go. There's so much work involved.
I think it's a really stressful piece.
Staff involved in the run-up. Sorry, they're very noisy here. In the run-up to Valentine's Day or Mother's Day or Christmas or any of those. And that's where all those extra costs come in. So to me, like a flower shop can run, like we say, a particular flower shop might have 2 florists, 1 junior running the shop all year round. But come Valentine's Day, the world and their mother wants bouquets. So they have to employ in all this extra staff.
And drivers.
Drivers for delivering the stuff, conditioning. And we're going to talk about conditioning now in a few minutes. But like if a flower shop gets in, normally every week, maybe 50 red roses or 100 red roses. Valentine's Day, they could be getting in 500 red roses.
We used to get 3,000 red roses.
Imagine having to condition all of those roses. Ooh. Jesus, So believe me, every penny that a florist takes in on Valentine's Day and Mother's Day, absolutely is so hard earned. Yeah. I know, and I have seen it, and I'm sure it'll come up in our Facebook. We actually did do a comparison one year of Little Roses and Red Naomi from a florist, right? And it is really, you get what you pay for. And it's like you get 10 apples in a bag for €1, or you get 1 apple for €1. They taste very different, probably. They're apples. Apples are apples. They're apples. But you'll find that ones won't last as long as the other. They won't be as nice as the other. And it's exactly the same with the flowers, is you get what you pay for. Yeah. We had a Red Naomi rose in the school, and it's probably still there because I'm actually not in the school this week. I won't be in there till tomorrow. And it was done. We had done it as part of a video thing that we had done. And it was at the stage the other day when we were in the school, it was 10 days and it still looked perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Yeah. And also florists, we know what we're talking about. It's our subject. And I've been in supermarkets and looked at supermarket flowers, and I'm sure all florists do this. You walk along and then you see a bunch that's half out of the bucket, so you stick it back in again. And I saw some flowers and they had practically no water in them in the bucket at all. Yeah. I mean, some of them were just standing out of water. And I actually went to a member of staff and I said, excuse me, but your buckets need topping up. And they just looked at me. It's like, we don't deal with the flowers. Somebody comes in and does them. So they have no idea what they're doing. Yeah. And it may be that the buyers know what they're doing at head office. They know the difference between a Freedom and a Red Naomi rose. But the person who's got enough to do anyway at the supermarket doesn't know anything about how to look after or aftercare. I mean, I've been in another supermarket and I've seen trays of houseplants dead because they don't water them, because it's an outside company that delivers them. The fact that they might during the week perhaps pop a bit of water on, never crosses their mind.
Yeah.
But your
and I think my top tip for florists, because I know there's a lot of florists watching in here and there was a good few questions coming in. We'll come back to those now in a few minutes. My top tip for the florist is don't try and compete. No. Don't try and compete. Don't even shop in Lidl and Aldi and Tesco's and all of the supermarkets and the UK supermarkets. Leave them at it. They will never be your customer. No. Do what you can sell to your customers, because they're the ones that are going to come back to you for quality all year round. Yeah. Are going to book their weddings or be it whatever events and stuff like that coming up. So forget about what this is my opinion, and Sue, I'll ask yours as well, is when you're trying to compete with the garages or the Tesco's and all of those selling flowers coming up to Valentine's Day, let them at it. Let them at it. Concentrate on your own business. What would you say, Sue?
I do, and don't get into an argument over the toss about cost of what Mr. X can pay for his roses at another place. It comes down a little bit to good salesmanship as well, because if somebody walks in and they just sort of go, well, I'm not paying that for that, I say, well, that's fine, you don't have to pay that for that. Can I offer you this instead? You know, we have red tulips, we can do, we have mixed bouquets with a single red rose in the center, lilies. You know, you can offer other options other than just the red roses. But if people try and knock you down in price, just be very polite and just say, well, I'm really sorry, but that is the price, because these are good. And
you know what makes me laugh is that people wouldn't go into a vegetable shop or go into Tesco's and say, oh my God, your carrots are very expensive this week, can I get cheaper ones?
I know you wouldn't, but why? So why do they think they can do it with flowers? Yeah,
it is. It's amazing.
It's true.
But really, you know what? Like, you really answered that question well, as regards, you know, it isn't the florist that is making the big bucks on these days at all. And do you know what? Like, I think, I don't know if anybody is, because the growers are getting what they can, the wholesalers are getting what they can, the transport prices. Everyone knows how expensive diesel and petrol and all has gone. So thanks a million for answering that question for us. There's a couple of, I'm going to just go to the couple of questions here that have come in. Let me see. Time to change to other flowers, tulips, for example, at this time of the year. Marie Brady is saying yes, and that's it. And I think the flower industry, we try to pull away from red roses
every year.
Men are so fucking hard to change, because the man wants, in general, and I know I'm generalizing here, most men want to buy red roses, and most men are not watching this live video to realize that most women probably would prefer pink flowers.
Most women probably are not mad on red roses. The guys that want the red roses are usually the ones who never buy flowers, apart from if they don't come home with something, then they're going to be in the spare room. And the other thing is that they always leave it so late as well. Mother's Day is much better, because I always prefer women, because women are organising it, so we're much more organised. Men, this Valentine's this year is on a Tuesday, and we've always found that a Tuesday Valentine's, nothing happens until Monday, and then all of a sudden all the guys go, oh, is it tomorrow? Yeah, it's the 14th of February, always been that day, but you know, don't know. And you'll suddenly you'll spend all weekend looking at your red roses and thinking, I've bought too many roses, nobody's ordering, and then suddenly Monday afternoon, in they come, and then you think, I haven't bought enough.
I know, I should have bought more. And that's actually, I've been posting for the last couple of days on our social media for telling women to share their local florist posts, so that hopefully your partner sees these posts that you're sharing. So if you're living in, we say in Rialto where we are, and you're living in Rialto, or whatever you're working in, share the florist posts on your social media to give him the kick, or her the kick, or whoever's buying the flowers, to get them going. Okay, Geraldine is saying, is it easy to grow wax flower in a garden?
I have to first of all say I'm not a horticulturalist, I'm a florist. Wax flower actually is native to Australia, so I would probably say that growing wax flower in a garden in this country would require some sort of quite dry temperatures and quite warm. I've never seen it actually growing in a garden, which I think probably says some. If anybody does grow it in their garden, let us know. But I would say that often with plants and houseplants and flowers, a good sort of judge of what you can do with them growing wise is looking at where they actually originally come from. So for instance, if something does come from a hot country like flowers that are grown in South Africa, it's something which you would need to replicate to grow them over in this country. And I do know that in Australia, wax flower is quite endemic, and I imagine they probably prefer the conditions over there, but you do give it a go.
Yeah, give it a go. Olive is saying she's starting her garden. I'm wondering what would be good flowers to consider for flower arranging.
I think it's much harder than people think to grow your own flowers for flower arranging. I think it's a lovely thing to be able to do. But I think if you go for shapes, because when you're doing flower arranging, you're looking for rounds and for points and for what we also call a filler flowers. So for round flowers, you might be looking for roses. You might be looking for I can't think of any round flowers. The roses, dahlias are round
Dahlias,
flowers,
chrysanthemums,
chrysanthemums, that sort of thing. Points, liatris, that grows well. Carnations you can grow. So you've got a selection, and also think about growing some things that will grow throughout the year. So you've got your spring flowers, summer flowers going into autumn, so that you can hopefully pick flowers throughout the year. If you go, there's
I
a good
growing foliage is the best option, isn't it?
foliage is great. I mean,
yeah, I think having a variety of foliages growing in the garden, and then you can go to your supermarket and just pick up a bunch of carnations, or go to your florist and buy a mixed bunch of flowers or something.
And another thing as well about growing your own flowers is that the flowers that you see in that you buy from the florists that have come from Holland, a huge amount of work has gone into making those flowers, to making them last, to making them strong stemmed, to making them tall. I mean, if you look at how you buy roses, I mean, we talk about rose stem, we talk about a 40, a 50, a 60, a 70 stem. Yeah. You could never grow a 70 stem red rose in your garden straight up. That has taken them years to do. When if you go to the auctions, one of the areas in the auctions is like a flower laboratory. It's really interesting, and it's full of flowers that the Flower Council of Holland are trialing to see how well they last. And if you're a grower and you're growing, say you're growing a white lily, and you've decided you can grow a white lily with a pink stripe, so you spend 7 years developing your white lily with a pink stripe. You then send it off to the auctions, and they will put it into different situations like warm, cold, water with nothing in it, water with flower food in it. They'll try all sorts of things because they're testing it for the longevity. Because if you're growing for the auctions, you have to grow in big amounts. So you can't put a lot of money and investment into growing a lily, for instance, or any flower which has a very short shelf life. Yeah. So by the time that flower reaches the flower shop, it's probably been 7 or 10 years in production in making it a really good quality cut flower. And that's not the same as flowers that are grown in your garden. So if you you know yourself, if you grow flowers in your garden, you cut them, they don't usually have the longevity in the vase that you have from flowers that you buy that have been commercially raised specifically for that purpose. For
that reason. Yeah. There's a couple of more questions there, but they are more horticulture questions. So because, as Sue said, she's not a horticulturist, she is a specialist in cut flowers. We're going to skip on to those questions on cut flowers. I will say a quick hello to Viv. I see Viv Bradford.
Oh, hi, Viv.
Hope nice you're feeling well,
Viv. Hoping you're doing okay.
Going to see less of you in a few months' time. And yes, so she says she's not doing Valentine's Day this year. You're dead right. Let me see. Paula says she feels sorry for the floristry business. How can they make money with chrysanthemums being so expensive? Yeah, they're one of the flowers that have really just went off the wall, haven't they?
I was looking again. I was doing research today, and I was looking at the price because I'm not actually in a shop anymore. I'm still obviously extremely involved with what's going on, but I'm not actually in a shop, so I'm not seeing prices day to day. So I was looking at white chrysanthemums, and the cheap double white chrysanthemum, the one that gives you messy basing that just looks so good.
Yeah,
that was $170 a stem.
My God.
And so that was working out with VAT just over £2. Well, I'm not sure what that is in euros. £4 a stem, and the good quality chrysanthemum. It was the good quality basing, the neat and tidy basing that actually means you can read your letters, your nans and your mums and your granddads. Yeah. That was £3 a stem without VAT. Without so I worked out that you'd be having to charge over £7 per stem for good quality basing.
For good quality basing, yeah.
And that is, I've never. In fact, I was looking at some questions where people were asking about alternative basic, and people were actually suggesting white hydrangea as an
I
alternative
saw
to
that.
basic.
I
And I was
saw
thinking,
that.
I cannot believe that.
Yeah, like hydrangeas
That's
being so expensive that they would be cheaper to use than
yeah,
chrysanthemums. Like, it's mad. I actually saw that post. Chris is
yeah.
saying Valentine's orders are extremely low for him. He's worried he has pre-ordered all his flowers. Chris, you're
Don't
a
worry.
man.
Yeah,
All the men leave it to the last minute. Believe
Monday
me, do not
afternoon.
worry. On
Monday
Monday at
afternoon.
about 4 o'clock, you'd be saying, Beckett,
Yes,
I should have ordered more.
yes.
Let me see, like, what other questions have we got here? Let me see. Selena saying she loves bright bouquets over roses. And Tasmania in Austria. I'm a red rose lover. Sorry, I found tulips didn't last for Valentine's Day. But tulips do only have them. We're going to talk about conditioning them
Yeah.
shortly now. Viv says she has wax flower in her garden and it's totally shite, a total diva. Shirley says she wants to grow.
I can imagine that, actually.
There's absolutely loads of questions here. We will come back, and any questions that we haven't answered, we will answer them once Rosa left. Once had roses left, so made a large bouquet, 36 roses dressed, added a teddy, and sold it at a last minute. And that's the thing. You will sell stuff at the last minute as well on Valentine's Day.
And also, when you don't forget to, if you're in a situation where you're in a shop or something, if you have a funeral order that comes in directly after Valentine's, don't forget that if you're using your Valentine's roses, those roses are going to be more expensive, so you are going to have to charge more for your roses, even if you discount them slightly, just to try and there's many a florist that's wished for a large double-ended red rose coffin spray on the 15th.
Absolutely. And talking then of springtime and growing flowers in your garden, and obviously when they're shooting up, I've actually one daffodil has popped its head and is in flower in the garden.
I've got snowdrops. That's as far as I've got.
Okay, well, I presume I just see a yellow blob up the top of the garden, so I presume that that's what it is. I should have went up and had a look. But spring flowers, daffodils, tulips.
Yeah.
Tell us conditioning of them. What should we be doing, be it them commercial or be it from the garden?
Well, if we start with daffodils, daffodils exude a sap which is toxic, and that can affect other flowers that daffodils are arranged with. So what you can do with your daffodils to try and get rid of that toxic sap, because if you buy them from the supermarket, from the florist, they're quite often they're dry. They've just got them in a bucket without any water in them. You need to recut the stems. They're hollow stemmed, so cut them flat rather than at a point. Because if you cut them at a point and because they're hollow, when you put them in the vase, they'll just sort of collapse. The bottom will crush anyway. So cut the stems straight. Using scissors are probably best with daffodils because they're quite soft stemmed. And then if you put them in a vase of water and just leave them so the sap can actually drain out, and then take them out, and then you can arrange them in with other flowers. Some people get something called daffodil itch. They can get an irritation with daffodils, so it's always a good idea to wash your hands after you've used them. But that's the most important things with daffs is recut them flat, using a nice sharp pair of scissors. Let the sap drain out before you arrange them with other flowers.
And how long should we leave them sitting in a vase on their own?
I would probably say about 24 hours.
Okay, right. Okay.
Yeah. But I tend to not mix my flowers. I just tend to have one lot in a vase and that's it.
I just love daffodils just standing on their own.
Yeah, I got
we actually had
bunches.
daffodils in the school last week. A friend of Jeanette, her dad, passed on, and he loved his garden, and she wanted a garden spray.
Yeah.
And we did it with daffodils and tulips and wax
hard
flower.
work getting them into floral foam.
Oh my God, we used the straw now, in fairness.
Yeah.
But they were hard work to get into foam, but it was just beautiful. But the daffs were absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
And then tulips. Now tulips are what's called phototropic. So one of the things a lot of people say to me, they say like they get annoyed by tulips because they sort of move around in the vase. But what they're doing is that they're following the light. So and there's lots of old wives' tales about how you can stop them from doing that, like sort of putting a pin through the seed box and all this sort of thing, which I don't recommend because it can let in bacteria and that can shorten the vase life of your flowers. But I just say let tulips do what they do, because I think tulips are fabulous. Yeah. And the other thing that tulips do, which is also really interesting, and also anemones do the same thing, is they keep growing after they've been cut. I've got some tulips behind me, English grown tulips from Smith and Munson, and when I put them in the vase they're in, they were lovely, properly in proportion, obviously, with the vase, but I haven't cut them since, and now they're about 6 inches taller. It's just what they do. So enjoy.
And I love them when they flop. I love them when they flop over. I
do.
really do.
They're just wonderful, and they're very easy. They just you can just recut the stems. They're not a big lot of trouble. About the longevity, I actually keep all my flowers in the porch. So I've got them in here now because I wanted to have some flowers in here, but I actually keep my flowers in the porch, which is not heated. And although it means I'm not looking at them all the time, every time I come in and out of the house, I see them. And also they're in the window for people going past. And I can get, when did I have my Smith & Munson tulips? I've had them a week. And they're still absolutely beautiful. And I think I will probably get about 14 days out of them because I've got them in the cold. If I leave them in the house, they will be half the time they will be over.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's something about your customers, is making your customers aware of that, you know, if they're in direct sunlight, they're going to grow and mature quicker. It's not that they're going to die quicker, they're going to mature quicker. And like even with roses for Valentine's Day, or with any flowers that anyone's going to get over the next couple of weeks, is that where you put them really has. And it's funny because Jeanette's house is always sweltering, right? She's a heat bird. She has heating on all of the time in her house, and nothing lasts. And we would often buy, like when we're ordering flowers, and we might buy a bunch of lilies between the two of us, or a bunch of amaryllis or something like that. And I'll take half and she takes half, and mine is still looking fabulous and hers are just gone completely. So it really is down to where they're displayed, I suppose, for the customers. Somebody is asking, and before we answer this question, somebody's asking the best way to condition Pussy Willow. You're giving away the foliage book today.
Yes.
So how are they going to win this book, Sue?
Well, I've got a question. I'm actually going to give away a set. So I'm going to give away a set of a foliage and a flower book signed. And my question is, what flower family does the daffodil belong to? That's my question.
That's one now. You'll all have to get onto Google and find the answer. So what flower family does the daffodil belong to? So that there we see now. Who is the
interesting
expert? And we're not going to give it away tonight because we know that a lot of people are going to watch this on the replay. So if you are watching it on the replay, please let us know that you're watching it on the replay. And we just put the answers in the comments here. So put your answers in the comments, and Sue will pick somebody on Friday.
I will
announce the winner on Friday and let you know who the winner is. Now, Jeanette's sending me a message and just making sure that what she's sending me. Okay, I know it's grand to do something else. She obviously is not watching it live. I'd say she's forgotten about it. So the question there also, so what family does the daffodil belong to? If you want to win those books, the cut flower book, the cut foliage books, Jeanette's two favorite, they can be sent anywhere in the world. So no matter where you are, you can enter this competition, and Sue will pick the winner on Friday. Pussy Willow, Sue, how do you condition it?
Pussy Willow is woody stemmed, and it doesn't really need a huge amount of conditioning because it will just dry. I've got Pussy Willow downstairs, which I had before Christmas, which I've still got. But just recut the stems, because the thing with woody stemmed plants such as Pussy Willow, lilac, viburnum, is that it's harder for them to absorb water because the stem is very, very dense. It's very woody. So frequent recutting of stems is good for woody plants. So like woody stems, say like every other day. But pussy willow, if you just leave it in some shallow water, it will just very gradually dry out. Then the only thing that can happen then is the little pussy willows themselves can get a little bit sort of fragile. But if you just give it a bit of a spray, tiny little bit of spray with hairspray, just to keep them in place, and then you can actually have dried pussy willow, and then you can then sort of like mix and match. And I keep mine going for months because I hate throwing things away. So,
and you know what? I know we have done it in the school. We have made wreath bases and stuff out of it when it has gone sort of
very flexible.
If the pussies have fallen off.
Yes,
but it's actually one I was looking at growing at home here, because I see one of the flower farmers, Grow Cut Flowers. She had photographs of like a pink pussy willow. Oh my God, it was just beautiful. And I actually sent her a message. She did send me the name of it. And I said, I'm actually going to look out for that one, because this time of the year, it's beautiful, isn't it?
And it's easy to grow. Willows are easy to grow because they root you can actually root them in. If you've ever bought contorted willow, twisted willow, and you can actually root itself quite happily.
Okay.
So you can actually, if you do want to grow something that's interesting and sculptural, twisted willows is a good one, and it'll root very easily, and just needs lots of water. Needs to be nice and wet.
I see. Well, I tell you, the comments are flying in here as we're talking, Sue, and lots of different answers. And I actually don't know now. I did think I knew the answer, and now I'm looking saying, oh, maybe I didn't know the answer. We're not giving the answer. You just have to. We'll give the answer on Friday, but
because it is interesting. There's a point to the question, because if you learn more if you become a bit of a flower nerd, which is a good thing, there is a point to knowing where flowers, how flowers are related to each other, because it gives you an idea of their conditioning. And like, for instance, if you take hyacinth are in the same family. They're in the asparagus family, and you can sort of see it when you think of how hyacinth grows and how asparagus grows. And I just love that connection between things that you think they had nothing to do with each other, but they are actually very, very closely related. And
that's what I have to say about your books, Sue. And actually, is the answer in the books?
Yes. Enough,
so anyone that has the cut flower book, go look up the answer.
Well, you're not allowed to win. You're not allowed to enter.
But like, your books are they are like a Bible, and we use them constantly in the school. Like, if we get something in, we just say, oh yeah, that's what you do. And we're like, oh, let's double check with Sue and make sure that is the correct conditioning or whatever to do. And I will say that anybody that's watching, and if you're thinking of going into flowers or plants or foliage, or you're looking to, I said, it's not horticulture, so it's not about growing foliage or growing flowers. This is for cut flowers. So when you cut your daffodils, when you cut your roses, or you buy a bunch of flowers from your local florist or wholesaler or anywhere like that, Sue's Bible will tell you exactly what you can do with it. For anyone that is, I think, in doing weddings and professionally working with flowers, she also gives you tips of where to use it, where not to use it, what it works with, what it doesn't work with. This is great for bridal work because it lasts well out of water. Don't use this, it'll be dead in a few hours. It's just plain English advice for all of the cut flowers. How many flowers is in it, Sue?
I think it's about 162.
Yeah, wow, it's amazing.
I mean, I had no idea.
The paper that the book is, it's sort of, it's not waterproof, but it's if it's on the counter and it gets wet,
you can wipe the cover. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend dropping it in a bucket of water, but you can certainly wipe the cover. And then it's wire bound, so it will lie flat on a workbench. But it's written, because I trained. Bench trained and college trained, and training is just the core to everything, which is why I think Kate is so fabulous in what they do, because it just what I say to a lot of people is, I talk to students and things, that putting cut flowers into a vase doesn't make you a florist any more than dyeing your hair in the bathroom makes you a hairdresser. What makes you a florist is learning and training and understanding what you're doing. And so this book is written with my experience as a high street florist. So I always say about the wedding advice in here, it's from my own personal experience, and feel free to think, oh, you could do this with it as well. But it's just sitting down and thinking, what would I do with this? How would this work with that? And I'm always updating it, and this is the 4th edition, because I do a short print run, and then when that print run is sold out, I then go through the whole book, check all the facts, find any spelling mistakes that might have slipped through, all of which are my mind. I take full responsibility. Check on reclassification of flowers, look at what's trendy, what's coming up. Some flowers go out, some flowers come in, so that it is as up to date as I can possibly make them.
And somebody's actually asking there, she's really intrigued by the meaning and symbols of flowers as well as the language of flowers. Does the book mention this along with each flower?
It mentions the language of flowers, yes, definitely, and what different flowers mean.
And it also mentions how to say the word.
Yes,
so
it has pronunciation. Yes,
really good.
Yeah.
Anyone that's interested in buying Sue's books, jagopublishing.co.uk, and there was an issue with Royal Mail, but it's gone, and so
it's gone. Yes,
anywhere in the world now.
Yeah.
So pop on, and there is an offer. If you buy the 3 books, you get a better deal. So if you buy the cut flower, the foliage, and the plant book, if you plant at home, the plant we have the plant book, and I have looked it up because I did buy plants for the house at Christmas, and they're still alive, believe it or not. Can't believe it. So, and I did look them up in the plant flower book, and it is actually really good as well. It's just because we're not a flower shop here at the school. So if you're in a flower shop, the plant book would be really good. If you're selling plants, it's really, really good. But the cut flower and the foliage book are phenomenal, and they're the 2 that Sue is giving away. But as I said, there is a deal if you buy the 3 of them. Can't remember how much it is, but go on to Jago Publishing site. All the details are there. And I see Celine has put the link in the comments as well. Thank you, Celine.
Thank you.
And Sue will go back, and if there's any questions that we haven't answered.
I'll try and answer. If I'll try and have a look on that when I've finished the answer. And also just to say that I am Jago Publishing. It's my husband and I. It's our own company. We set it up ourselves. So everything we do it just the 2 of us. So we personally check and sign and dispatch everything.
Every book has been touched by Sue Brett. Every book.
Every single book.
Met Brett, and you know what? He's an absolute gem. He is an absolute gem. So it is their own publishing company.
So it's not going through a third party. The order will come to me. I will read it, and I will sign it, and then it's me or Brett down to the post office. Courier.
And what I love as well, I don't think it's an issue anymore, but initially with the Brexit, there was an issue with the Irish people being charged customs, and you refunded them, you sorted it out, you've done everything. Books that kept going backwards and forwards because of the whole Brexit thing. And you were and I think that's because it's your baby. You were so on the ball about sorting. So if there's anyone that has an issue, you just get on to Sue. She's on Facebook as Sue Whale. She's on Instagram as Sunflower Sue, isn't it?
Yes, Sunflower Sue.
Sunflower Sue on Instagram. Celine, if you're there, you might maybe just put her Instagram handle, because we're not actually on Instagram, but my plan is to download this live and post it up to Instagram. Tina is saying I'd highly recommend Sue's book, so informative and well designed. Do you know what? Here at Kay's Flower School, we only recommend and deal with people that we trust and we believe can help other people. Disclaimer here, we do not take any payment, we do not get any commission, we do nothing like that. When we find something, thanks Celine, I've seen you put it up, when we find something good, we like to let people know about it. And this is why, and Sue is always so good to come in with her time and give us any amount of time to help our students and to help you guys as well. I hope you really enjoyed tonight, that you got something out of it. If not, just an explanation of the flower industry as a business and as an industry. Let me see. Paula saying, I'm doing my Valentine's assessment tomorrow with roses and orchids. Best of luck with that, Paula. Hope it goes really well. Angela King, Sue, thank you for your cut flower books. It's our Bible. It is. It's our Bible here as well.
It's just so nice, because I had no idea when I first wrote it. I needed to do it, and I didn't know if it would just disappear or if it would take off, and it's been wonderful,
Yeah.
actually.
And where did you had a
thank
thing
you.
up recently? Was it in a library in Australia or somewhere like
Oh,
that?
in
Or
New Zealand. In New Zealand.
Zealand.
We've got friends who live in Whangarei, in the top of the North Island of New Zealand, and Jo, my friend, she went into the Whangarei library, and there was a copy of Cut Foliage on the library shelf. So she sent me a picture of it.
That's
so
amazing.
I was like, wow.
Absolutely amazing. Well, fair play to you. You deserve all the success because you really do put so much work into the book and redoing the book and updating the book. Guys, if you want to win the book, the question was, what was the question, Sue?
Question was, what flower family does the daffodil belong to?
So there you go. Comment with your answer. We will announce the winner on Friday, and Sue will pick the winner, and the books can be posted anywhere in the world. So it doesn't matter where you are, post your questions there. Friday morning, guys, I have Ulster area Ben coming in to do British Flower Rock.
He's great.
Isn't he amazing?
He's lovely.
And do you know what? This is our third time. So third time lucky that it actually happens, because he was supposed to come on before Christmas and it was cancelled because he had something happened in the greenhouses that he had to deal with and he couldn't. He was supposed to come on Tuesday morning, and then I had a bit of catastrophe here, so it didn't happen. So he's coming in on Friday morning at 10 o'clock. We have got an event set up. He will only be in the Flowery Fun group. He won't be here on the Case Flower School page. If you're not in the Flowery Fun group, pop over and join the Flowery Fun group and register for the event, that you'll get a notification. Ben is amazing. He has an Ulster area farm. It's all sustainable.
Beautiful flowers.
Oh, they're fabulous.
They are. Yeah, I've had the Ulster area from Ben.
I used to call it, and I'm saying used to because it was past, because it was what we had learned was the poor man's lily. And he was like, no, he says that because that sort of downgrades it as a flower. It's the Peruvian lily. And that's where the word, obviously, poor man's came from, Peruvian. So the Peruvian lily is what the Ulster area is. It is British Flower Rock, so it's all about growing British flowers. But we will at some stage have an Irish flower industry that can supply enough flowers commercially. We do have a guy that grows Ulster area in Ireland, but he doesn't take on any new customers. He only has the customers that he has. So if you're interested in growing flowers, do get into it, because it is an industry that
very
needs
knowledgeable
to grow here. Yeah. It really needs to grow here. We don't have enough flower farmers. We have a lot of flower farmers, but they're only growing for themselves. They're not growing commercially, and we really need to build. So I'm looking forward to listening to what Ben has to say about the British flower industry, because Ireland has to learn from it. They have to learn from what he's doing over there. And Celine has put up the link to the group. Celine, you're a little doll. Do you know what?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Celine.
So anyway, guys, listen, thanks a million for everyone for tuning in. We hope you got something out of it. Hopefully I'll see some of you on Friday morning or at 10 o'clock over in the Flowery Fun group. Don't forget to keep commenting your answers. You can comment as often as you want for it to win that prize. And Sue, we hope we'll have you back again soon enough.
Yeah, I would love to. Go back to talk weddings.
Oh, weddings. Oh, absolutely. Weddings. But you know what? We will get you into we have a module 3 at the moment, and we also have a module 4 starting next week. So we will combine the two of those, and we'll get you in talking about weddings into the Bloom rooms. We will.
Okay.
Listen, guys, thanks a million for tuning in.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Have a great evening. Talk to you all soon.
Cheers then. Bye-bye.